I kicked my fiance out and canceled my wedding. Am I overreacting?
Get out!
Hey everybody, welcome back. Today we're playing red flag, green flag. When I see a red flag, I'm gonna wave this. When I see a green flag, I'm gonna wave this. Green flags cancel out red flags. But if by the end, there's more red flags than green flags, you are not overreacting.
I think you're overreacting a little bit.
I am not overreacting!
Okay, so the title of this is, Am I Overreacting for Kicking My Fiancé Out and Calling Off the Engagement After He Demanded to Be on My House Deeds, Refused a Prenup, and Has Debts? I'm 32 female. I own 2 houses outright. Ooh, queen behavior. Good for you. One I bought 5 years ago before we met, and one I inherited 2 years ago. Both are paid off. Wow.
Very impressive.
I'm financially independent, and those properties are my main security. My fiance is 34 male. We've been together for 3 years, engaged for 8 months. He moved in with me 2 years ago and lives rent-free. Okay, so I understand that you don't have expenses to do with rent because you paid off the house, but don't you guys have property taxes that you pay? So he lives rent-free, he pays for groceries and some utilities, but that's it. He makes about half of what I make. Okay, I'm gonna maybe put this away, but I'm clocking it, okay? I'm just like, it's a beige flag.
Beige.
Would it be fair if, you weren't paying anything and then you are also getting money from him? Maybe not. The issue started when we started talking wedding logistics. 1, the house and deed thing. 2, he said if we're getting married, his name should be on my house deeds. It's not fair that I live here and contribute, but I have no ownership. If we're equal partners, we should be equal on paper. I just don't get it because he already is getting a lot. He virtually lives somewhat for free. And now he wants to be part owner in your house when he hasn't done anything. He hasn't paid the mortgage off. You paid that, babe, not him.
Whatever, freeloader.
3, I said no. I offered a prenup, keeping the house as a separate property, and asked him to pay fair market rent if he wants to live here. 4, his kids and debts. 5, he has 2 kids from a previous marriage. He pays for their private school and says it's a huge financial strain. He asked me to treat them like my kids and implied I'd help cover that after the marriage. Baby, you're his meal ticket. He also told me he has about $40K in personal debt from an old business that failed. Honey, that debt becomes your debt when you marry him. 6, his reaction. 7, he refused to sign a prenup. He said it means I don't trust him and I'm planning for divorce. No, you're just going into a marriage with very large discrepancies in income and debt. And honestly, I fully believe that if you don't want to sign a prenup, you're not in it for the right reasons.
Damn right.
He said asking for rent is insulting and makes him feel like a tenant, not a husband. He's now saying I'm being greedy and that if I loved him, I wouldn't protect my assets like this. Why does he want your assets so much? I personally think that he's the one that's greedy. He has it real good. I don't know if he would be able to find another situation like this. Of course he wants to marry you. He has literally no financial obligations other than those to do with his previous marriage and his debt, which were his fault. Not his fault, but
Sucks the suck face.
those are his issues. And you're also kind of giving him a break on those issues because in any other circumstance, he would have to pay rent and pay for his kids' private school, which, by the way, is a luxury. You don't need to send your kids to private school. I don't know if private school is necessary. I never went to private school. The private school kids in my neighborhood were mean to me, spoiled. Both me and my brother never went to private school, and we turned out pretty good. He's a lawyer. I'm an entrepreneur. Turned out fine. I know a lot of people that went to private school that didn't really maximize what private school offers, right? I have a thing about private school. I'm not the biggest fan. Maybe later in life when it determines maybe your like university college acceptance, maybe then I would be okay with it. But they don't have to go to private school.
I would love to educate you.
I told him I'm not comfortable merging finances or assets when he has debt. He won't sign a prenup and wants me to take on responsibility for his kids' school costs. I asked him to move out and I told him I'm calling off the engagement until he agrees to a prenup. Now he's telling our families I'm cold and using my money to control him. My mom says I'm being too harsh and should work it out. Am I the a-hole for kicking him out by the end of the week and ending the engagement over this? Honestly, no. He is showing so many signs that he's actually a gold digger. He's the gold digger, babes, not you. So we do have an update. Thank you to everyone who commented seriously. Reading your replies helped me see this clearly. For context, on our dynamic over the 3 years we've been together, he never did any childcare or housework here. Ooh, Nelly.
Nelly Vuitton.
I took care of the entire house. Holy sh*. He sometimes brought groceries and paid utilities, which I mentioned before, but that was the extent of it. Wow. He does make money, but most of it goes towards spending on himself and his kids' school back in Europe. So you're not even like, he's not spending that money on you at all? Girl, I'm all about the whole marriage is a partnership thing, but like, this is too far. He doesn't spend much on them outside of school because they live with their mom. He also has his own assets in Europe. He never wanted to marry me until now, and it's obvious it's because he wants the green card. The irony is he has no problem charging me Airbnb level rent to stay in his place when we visited his country. Whoa!
That's whack.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Absolutely not. Holy cannoli. What the actual fuck? Jesus Christ, girl. I'm sorry, I don't mean to laugh, but like, what the fuck? He can dish it out, but the second I ask for a fair split on the house we live in together, I'm the villain. I'm not signing over my safety for someone who's been using me for access. I'm single now, and honestly, I feel lighter already. Thanks again for keeping me grounded. This is a doozy.
You're going on a journey.
Let's look at some of the comments. I already know how I feel. Like, this is just riddled with red flags. He's looking for an easy way out of his debts. If I were UOP, I would walk away and end it. As far as him not wanting to pay rent because it would make him feel like a tenant, that's BS. It's called paying your fair share. Literally, like, just because there's no rent to pay, I don't know where you live, but like, there's still such a thing as property tax. At the very, very least, he should be paying all the utilities and buying all the groceries and taking care of your house. He's not doing any of that, at least not regularly.
Responsibility?
OP responded to this. That's part of why I'm so frustrated. I actually told him I wouldn't ask for a single cent toward the house until his debt was cleared. I thought he was using that time to pay it down. Turns out he hasn't paid anything on it in the 3 years we've been together, and that interest just kept piling up. Oh, brother. So now it's not just about the deed. It feels like he wants the security of my assets without dealing with his own financial mess first. Bessie. I can tell you based on, years of therapy and just general statistics, the number one and number two things that couples fight about in a marriage are household responsibilities and money.
Let's do a little research.
Money, household chores, sex, communication, and parenting, okay? So I asked Google, if you're already fighting about those things and you're not even married yet, if there's already issues, it's gonna get so much worse once you're legally bound to him. He has it so good. That's what's so fucked up. I'm so glad that you got out of this when you did, because it's only gonna get worse. Like, God forbid you have kids with this person, it's only gonna get worse.
Beware.
Your mother is giving you terrible advice. You kick that man out, let him stay out. Don't give him any excuse to come back to your place. If it's feasible financially, hire a moving company, pack up all his stuff, and drop it off wherever he's staying. Do anything but give him your finances. Yeah, major red flag, and no, you are not overreacting. If you're enjoying this video, don't forget to subscribe. Stay a while. I'd love to hang out with you. And by the way, we have a lot of new subscribers on this channel. I wanted to just say thank you so much for subscribing. Really appreciate you. And to the people who've been here for months, years, whatever, I love that we get to keep doing this because I'm having so much fun. Am I overreacting? I smoke and drink from time to time, and my girlfriend hates it. Got a little text convo. Let's read the context.
For the love of God, context!
So I'm 21 male and my partner is 20 female. She and I have been together since her sophomore year of high school. I absolutely adore her and I think she used to feel the same way, but since I've gotten a promotion at my job, I've started smoking again. She just kind of hinted to not liking it in the past, so I stopped when I was around 18. I never relied on it even then, and it was just a nice decompressor.
Dumb stoner.
I'd say when I was in high school, I'd smoked once or twice a month. Family issues made it rough, so I'd smoke or drink whenever I wanted to just relax and get away from my family's insanity. Anyways, fast forward to now, I've been working as a floor manager, 9:30 to 11:30 p.m., 3 days in a row, and I thought, screw it, I'm gonna smoke with them after work. And it was really fucking great. We also passed around a bottle of Jack Daniels. We were all laughing, and it was a hectic Mother's Day brunch/dinner shift. On my drive back to my apartment, my girlfriend finds out I took puffs and drank since her friend, who's the server, posted a story with 9 of us in a circle passing vodka, JD, and a couple other bottles of alcohol around. As you can... I'm sorry, were you drinking and driving? As you can see in the pictures, she's not happy about it. She's been ghosting me for a week and she decided to talk about it with me now after multiple attempts in calling her and talking it out like adults. She called me and said she has every right to view me as a low life now. Oh, smoking isn't for everyone. I was just confused since she's actually smoked behind my back as well when she goes to parties.
Smoke.
Why can she do it but you can't? Please let me know how I should have handled this and what your thoughts are. If I'm in the wrong as well, let me know. Help would be appreciated. Edit, I wasn't specific with on my drive back, apologies. My friend who's the other floor manager at the restaurant next door, since we're 2 restaurants run by the same person, drove me to my apartment. Okay, so you weren't drinking and driving. That's good.
Well done.
We carpooled since we live a couple blocks away from each other. Okay, good to know. Because otherwise I would have been upset. I'm just saying, I would have been very upset. I'm assuming gray texts are girlfriend and blue texts are boyfriend. People who smoke are so trashy, so it grosses me out that you smoke too. Doesn't she also partake sometimes? At that point, it stops being about a boundary and starts sounding like a judgment of character. Hearing that from someone I love feels because I do smoke sometimes, especially with coworkers after a long 14-hour shift serving at the restaurant. So whether you intended it or not, it makes me feel like part of me disgusts you too. You don't have to like everything I do, but I also don't want to feel morally looked down on by my own partner. So, yeah, it's kind of tough because, like, she did tell you that she doesn't like smoking.
No smoking.
But she also smokes sometimes.
Hypocrite!
I personally like it when couples kind of let each other do their thing. Like, as long as it's not really affecting the relationship or it's like a worse addiction or something, I don't think it's fair for one person in the couple to be making rules when the other person is just kind of living their life. And yes, she did say that she's not okay with it, but then why is she also smoking?
Something's gotta give!
I'm assuming that OP is not telling her that she's trashy because she's having a cigarette. So girlfriend responds, I don't want to effing be with someone that smokes. It's like I'm dating a piece of poop. Oh. I can't believe you smoke in the first place. You can say you have it under control all you want, but I still hate seeing you do it, and I'm not going to pretend it doesn't. Give me the ick just to spare your effing feelings. What makes me even angrier is that you act like I'm effing attacking you and your cigarette feelings for having actual standards instead of realizing maybe I just don't want to date someone who normalizes that effing shit. This is mean. Listen, I'm not a fan of smoking either, okay? Does Mike sometimes have a cigarette, like when we're drinking and out? Yeah, whatever. That's just how I feel about it, okay? Maybe there's people that are watching this that are like,
no, smoking is disgusting. It's so bad for your health, blah, blah, blah.
You're totally valid in your feelings. I'm a little more relaxed about it. As long as it's not like you're smoking in the house or whatever, like, you know, or you know, let's say we're like really trying to care about our health. We've made promises to each other and the smoking is becoming an issue. Then I don't know. I don't really see the harm, but that's just my personal opinion.
But he's got one.
And I certainly wouldn't talk to my partner like this at all. So OP responded, do you realize how insane it feels hearing someone who supposedly loves me talk about me like I'm some low-class embarrassment? You keep saying it's just a habit you dislike, but the way you talk about it makes it sound like you're genuinely thinking less of me as a person. That is what's disgusting to me. I mean, I think you kind of have a point. The fact that your love starts sounding conditional the second I do something you morally disapprove of. You don't have to like it. I never asked you to, but the way you speak to me about it feels less like concern and more like contempt. And after a while, that starts making me feel like I have to shrink parts of me just to stay lovable to you, and I hate it.
Well said.
I'm gonna go ahead and give her this just because I don't think it's wrong to like want the best for your partner. I don't think it's wrong to see smoking or other, you know, bad habits as detrimental. What I don't like is how she's choosing to talk to him about it. So, because genuinely, what do you want me to say? That's so hot watching my partner willingly inhale smoke into their lungs like some burned out 45-year-old casino addict. Congrats, babe. You bonded over Nick and bad decisions over a double shift or whatever. I'm so inspired.
Shut up.
Okay. I'm willing to understand why it bothers you, but I'm not willing to be talked to like I'm beneath you because of it. That's a fair boundary. Then I guess we aren't talking anymore. Ooh. You don't have your life together like I thought you did. You're effing 21, working as a blah, blah, blah. And you do shit like this. You deserve to get caught and fired. I'm surprised you're still something rather with your bum smoking butt. Yeah, this is really unnecessary. Dare I say she kind of sounds like she's projecting since you said that she also smokes sometimes.
Suspicious. Very suspicious.
I don't love how she's speaking to him. So OP added an edit. I texted and called her to meet in person to end this relationship. I just drove back from her house. I neatly folded all the sweaters, hoodies, along with packaging the jewelry she made for me with the gifts she's given me through the years. I put everything in a bag and handed it to her. She told me she doesn't want it, and I told her take it. I'm not bringing pieces of this relationship back home with me. She looked a bit pissed and hesitantly extended her arms, and I dropped the bag in her arms. She told me she seriously doesn't want to keep it, and I said, then I'll toss it in your trash bin 20 feet from us right now, and she just took it. I did say something along the lines of, I don't regret the relationship, and she's taught me both what I like and dislike and want and don't want in a relationship. And that our ending to this relationship was long overdue, and she should find someone who fits her idea of a boyfriend, and I will find someone who shares the same ambitions and lifestyle as me. I told her that we keep trying to force compatibility when there fundamentally wasn't any. Eventually, that made me stop feeling loved and started making me feel managed. I explained that's not the kind of relationship I want for myself long term. I also told her I will not reach out to her or respond if she were to ever reach out. I started crying and screaming, saying that I'm choosing not to work through this obstacle and that I'm giving up. Her sisters were watching me from the kitchen window, and I nodded my head and walked away. She started name calling as I was walking down the steps, and I told her, you're making this easier for me. She's not my concern anymore. I feel more like myself now. I thought I'd be sad, but I'm refreshed. I'm heading to work now, but that's my update for you guys. I mean, the fact that you feel refreshed and not more sad about the situation, it's clear that the smoking was just the straw that broke the camel's back. And dare I say, maybe the smoking was kind of your way of rebelling. I don't know if it was really about the smoking. It was maybe more about feeling like you needed something that gave you a little bit of freedom, or maybe there was something about doing it that was like a little bit naughty or whatever.
Naughty.
I get it. I think we would all like to be with partners that don't judge us for our mistakes, you know? That don't judge us every time we kind of like want to let loose a little bit. It's totally different if it's becoming an issue. But if, from what it sounds like, it's just a couple of cigarettes and some alcohol, and she's absolutely valid for, you know, having an issue with those things. But then I think that if it's this much of an issue for both of you, you're right. You're not compatible.
Bingo.
Okay, let's look at the comments. I personally don't think you're overreacting, but that's just me. Oh, you don't talk to someone you love like that. Yeah. Once you lose respect, and I'm just saying this from personal experience, people that I've known, once you lose respect for each other, I'm sorry, but it's game over. Sounds like from the way that she speaks to you that there isn't a lot of respect left for you.
You deserve better.
That language and behavior is emotional abuse, not overreacting. She isn't concerned for your health. This isn't a difference of opinion. She's genuinely looking down on you. Please, you deserve better than this. Abuse is never okay and it doesn't go away. You deserve to be with someone who sees you as an equal and always treats you as such. Yeah, I agree. The way that she was speaking to you was like inexcusable in my opinion. I understand that people have conflicting views and beliefs, but there's conflicting, and then there's being childish and unable to hold a halfway meaningful conversation and calling their partner a piece of crap. I cannot say this enough. If she's willing to completely disregard how you feel toward her handling of this by saying cigarette butt feelings, as well as call you a piece of poo, a bum, judge you by the job you have, disregard how your work makes you feel, completely shut you down when you try to rationalize having a conversation and state that you don't like being talked to like you're the on the bottom of her shoe, then what else would she be willing to do or say the next time you do something she doesn't like? You're absolutely not overreacting. I would say you're underreacting and should get the hell away from her before this evolves into something much worse. Completely agree. You are not overreacting.
You're overreacting.
Am I overreacting for putting a bag before a friendship? Depends on the bag, honey. Clara, 35 female, and I, 33 female, have been friends for roughly 9 years. She supported me through a major breakup. I supported her through financial issues, and we've basically been a pillar in one another's lives for quite some time. Needless to say, there was a lot of trust there. Back in my 20s, I bought myself a Louis Vuitton bag as a celebration of graduating uni. I would use this bag whenever I felt I needed a confidence boost because it made me feel like if I could handle uni, I could handle anything. I don't know why, it's just how my mind works, I guess. Totally get it. And I totally get the whole like just for the job you want, not the job you have thing. I know everybody thinks it's like materialistic or whatever, but like I'm a bag girl. I got a good bag collection. I love my bags. I love them. And I always get them to like, you know, when I hit a really big milestone or like maybe I'm feeling like really sad about something and it cheers me up. I know it might not be healthy, but like there's so many worse things that I could be spending money on. So let me have my bags. This bag got quite a bit of wear and tear over the years, although I'd prefer to say she was well loved, and Clara offered to get it refurbished for me while she was on holiday in Paris. I was apprehensive, but she insisted that it was a gift for helping her get back on her feet. Dare I say she just wants to borrow it?
Probable.
Also, depending on how long you've had it. No. A lot of places have warranties. I don't know if it's like 15 years. This is the good thing about buying from, you know, a designer. Most of the time, I think they have warranties to do with their bags, oftentimes lifetime warranties. All you have to do if it's been, you know, a decent amount of time. Let me actually look. I'm curious. Louis Vuitton warranties. Louis Vuitton does not offer a standardized or lifetime warranty. They evaluate repairs on a case-by-case basis. While manufacturing defects are often fixed complimentary, repairs or accidental damage or normal wear and tear are subject to fees and requires consultation with a store expert. Yeah, I actually come to think of it, my mother-in-law likes Louis Vuitton, and like she had a bag that like broke or whatever, and they made her almost pay the cost of the bag. Which is like, at that point, I'll just fucking get a new bag.
You think that's good customer service?
No, that makes sense. I think if you buy from Chanel, yeah, Chanel offers a comprehensive 5-year warranty on all handbags, wallets on a chain, and timepieces. manufacturing defects, and 1 complimentary restoration service, okay? Standard wear and tear, such as corner wear, pop stitches, is generally excluded from complimentary repairs. Okay, good to know. I was just wondering if like maybe you could have gone yourself to get something repaired, but I feel like it's been a little too long. Sorry, long tangent. So she took the bag with her to Paris, and I thought little of it until I got a job interview and I needed my little confidence boost to complete my outfit. That's when I realized that Clara got back from Paris in January and I still didn't have the bag.
I have a bad feeling about this.
I called her up to ask where it was, thinking she'd probably forgotten about it. I mean, I had too, and she said it must be in her closet somewhere and that she would dig it out. The interview wasn't for a week, so I wasn't worried. But then I heard nothing from her. No random TikToks in my DMs, no questioning whether game night is a go ahead that weekend, nothing. Ooh, bad sign. After 4 days, I called her again. She said she'd be over that evening with the bag. Clara showed up, she handed me a Louis Vuitton box and said she had to go. Very unlike her because we would usually catch up a bit. Let me guess. She fucked it up. She didn't get it repaired. She just wore it and ruined it. Yeah. As I was getting ready for my interview, I opened the box, pulled the bag out of the dust thingy, and noticed something was off. The leather felt a little too raised, and the stitching seemed a little too bright. Oh, she replaced it with a fake. Oh no. I didn't have time to think about it just then, but I couldn't stop thinking about the way it didn't feel the same. So when I got home, I inspected it closely. The zips are scratching, some of the inner stitching is loose, and the heat stamp has no numbering on it, as it does on an authentic piece. This bag is fake. Ooh, buddy.
Are y'all ready for the next rodeo?
So what'd she do? Did she fucking sell it? Did she keep it for herself? Like, what happened? I called Clara and asked her what happened with my bag, and she stammered, saying she has no idea what I mean. She said she's outraged that the store did a bad job refurbishing and that she's going to call them to complain. I'm sorry, what? The bag isn't even real. Oh my gosh. I called her out and I told her if I didn't have the real bag back by the end of the weekend, she'd be gone from my life. The deadline was 3 days ago, and Clara has been a ghost in the wind for almost a week. A couple of our mutuals say I should keep the piece, while others are outraged that she would essentially steal something sentimental. Yeah, it's not even just about the bag. Like, this was a very sentimental piece for you. I totally get the whole, milestone, get yourself something really nice thing. This isn't a matter of you being materialistic. This is something special that you got for yourself, that you trusted a friend with, and now she's like lying to you and being really sketchy. It's not just about the bag. This is a betrayal of trust. I can't help feeling guilty because she's been through the thick and thin with me. Okay, all the more reason for her to treat you like a friend too. Why are you the only one expected to treat her like a friend?
Touché.
So am I overreacting for putting a bag before a friendship? Okay, let's look at this bag. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So I'm assuming this is the fake. Yeah. So one of the ways that you can tell that this is a fake. So this is a 15-year-old bag. You see how bright this cream colored leather is? That over time, one of the things I really like about Louis Vuitton bags is that this cream color tends to fade over time and it becomes a different brown. Let's see if I can find an example. Okay, here's a good example. So this color used to be that same kind of bright beige color. After like oxidation, this is just, I love bags. I'm a bag girl. After it gets oxidized, you spill stuff on it, oils and stuff like that, it turns into this more, I don't even know how to describe it. It's like a brown. This one's like really beat up, but like, you get what I mean. Let's see if I can find a better. So it starts off like this with that brighter color, and then it ends up looking more like this, especially after like time. So this is a 15-year-old bag. It's not gonna look the way that it did when you first got it. And I love that. So this is fully a fake bag. I get what you mean. It sounds more like Clara is the one putting a bag before a friendship. Yeah, she stole from you. There's a couple things that could have happened. She intended on getting it fixed. She took the bag to Paris with her, wore it a couple times, might have ruined it, and then tried to replace it with a fake one, hoping you wouldn't notice. Or she took the bag for herself and replaced it with a fake one.
That's not good.
People in the comments are like, she probably didn't even go to Paris. I would be watching that girl's story like a hawk to see if she was wearing it. Sometimes the friendships that you have the longest are the ones that disappoint you the most. It's really upsetting. But we do have an update. It's been a couple of weeks since the deadline I set Clara to return the bag, and we didn't talk that entire time. Until one of our mutual friends, one that advised me to keep the peace, invited me to brunch yesterday. When I arrived at the cafe, the mutual friend said Clara was on her way and we needed to talk. Okay.
Popcorn?
After hearing some of you guys say that there might be an actual explanation other than theft, I thought I owed it to our friendship to hear her out. So here's what actually happened. Clara took the bag to an official Louis Vuitton store when she was in Paris, but given the fact that she wouldn't be in the country for long, she arranged to have it delivered to her house when it was restored. She showed me the tracking information and it arrived at hers in March. When it arrived, she left the bag in its box in her hallway so she'd remember to bring it when she saw me next. Within the week of the bag arriving, Clara's sister, we'll call her Lola, went to Clara's to borrow a dress for an event. Clara had to go out when Lola was trying on dresses and trusted her sister to lock up. She left. When Clara got home, the LV box was gone along with the bag. She called Lola repeatedly and got no answer. She messaged her relentlessly to no avail. Clara was panicking. Eventually, Clara went to her mother and told her what was going on, who then called Lola to tell her to give her the bag back. A few days later, a beaten up Louis Vuitton box was on Clara's doorstep. When I asked about the bag, Clara didn't want to detail the whole ordeal because she was embarrassed, so she took the bag, which was still in its box, out of the box and gave that to me. When I called her about the bag being fake, she genuinely had no idea what I was talking about. At the time, she said she'd call the store to find out what happened, but she really messaged Lola demanding to know where the real bag was. Lola responded, "You wanted a bag, you got a bag," then blocked her on everything.
Unhinged.
I fail to understand why Clara didn't just tell you this in the first place. She gave you the bag back, didn't tell you what happened, and then tried to pass it off like it was the real bag. I understand that something else went on here, and it's not necessarily her fault, but it became her fault when she started lying.
That's what's up.
Clara was in pieces, panicking and thinking that she destroyed our friendship. She turned to a couple of our friends because she was scared of how I would react to her sister's actions. At brunch, Clara showed me the messages through tears. Our mutual friend showed me Lola's Instagram where she's holding my bag and some of the images. Clara was in tears and I cried with her because I realized I was overreacting this whole time, that I had automatically assumed the worst. As it stands, we've reported the bag as stolen and provided evidence against Lola. Clara's parents aren't happy, but I understand that Clara has tried for months to sort this out, and Lola needs to understand that her actions have consequences. I begged Clara to forgive me how I handled it, and she laughed, saying she was about to beg me for forgiveness for not telling me what was happening this whole time. So I don't have the bag back, but I do have my friendship, and from now on, I'll try not to jump to conclusions. Okay.
Where to begin?
I mean, I'm happy that you guys are still friends. I still don't love how Clara went about this. I can kind of understand her being scared to tell you, but at the same time, it's like all of this really could have been avoided if she was just honest. Am I wrong? I still don't love how this was handled. This person said this actually turned out way more heartbreaking than the original post. I feel bad for both of you. OP said, the way I'm choosing to look at it is that I still have a friendship. Thankfully, Clara fully understands why I reacted the way I did. And people are like, I'm glad Lola was reported to the police. She seems to be a bitch. Why would you beg for forgiveness? The only one who handled this poorly was Clara. You should have made a police report immediately. This is ridiculous. A friend doesn't store an expensive item properly and then completely runs out of ideas and ghosts you when it gets stolen as a result of that. And that isn't a great friend in my view, even if they didn't personally steal the item in question. Yeah, I don't love how this was handled. There was a lot of lying and a lot of ghosting and a lot of like, I don't love it. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I'm happy that you guys found a way to work it out, but like, I don't love this. I personally think that this is a red flag still. But it's your friendship, and if you feel like you can let go of that, then that's your prerogative. I understand you've been friends for a long time. I don't love how it was handled, but that's just me.
How about that tea?
Am I overreacting for not wanting to pay 3 weeks after the date? Okay. Hi, everyone. I received this message by a guy I dated 3 weeks ago. We met only once and he was clearly inviting me on a date, choosing the place and assuring me I would get princess treatment. Gave him my number after he asked for it, then he didn't message me for 3 weeks. Assuming he was not interested, I deleted the match on the app, but apparently he saved my number before, waiting for this to happen. And now he's asking me to pay him back while he's the one not interested. P.S. I'm still a student and he has a good position in a big company. Am I overreacting for not wanting to pay? I have thoughts. Lots of thoughts.
It is about context, you know?
Hi. I see that he sent a photo of the invoice. Thanks for the date. I had a great night with you. I enjoyed the company, but after thinking about it, I don't feel we're the right match moving forward. So I think it's best we just split the date and leave it here. Your share comes to $57.95, burger plus drink. If easier, you can just cover the food amount of $33.95 instead and drinks on me. You can pay now too, or if you don't have pay now, you can pass cash to a friend who has pay now and ask them to transfer to me. Please send me the payment proof once done. Oh, no, honey. Listen, okay, I'm of the opinion that if you don't like someone, you have every right to not like to split the bill, right? I'm not a fan of expecting men to just sort of pay for the date, especially when you don't see a future, you don't like them. I don't like the idea of having to owe someone something, you know, feeling obligated to pay people back. I don't know. I don't like that. But only if I don't like them.
No feelings do not develop no feelings.
I find it weird that he told you that he was taking you out, that you were going to get the princess treatment and all these things. And then 3 weeks later, he changed his mind and wants you to pay for half the bill. I'm sure that you went on the date thinking that you were going to get princess treatment, and you didn't have the choice to say no, right? If you had gone into the date thinking, oh, like I'm going to have to pay for it, whatever, then at least you would have had the chance to sort of say that you weren't interested in going. You have no choice at this point. Well, I mean, you do have a choice, but like he's making it so that you don't have a choice but feel obligated to pay him back.
That's messed up.
I personally think that he was dating multiple people, changed his mind, decided he liked someone else more, and then asked for the money back 3 weeks later, which is like, I'm sorry, but that's just not, if he didn't like you, he should have, first of all, you don't know until you meet the person, but 3 weeks after the date, I think that he should have insisted to split the bill on the date. If that was the case, I wouldn't pay him. Fuck that guy. Fuck that guy.
He's a piece of work.
I totally get the struggle with being like a modern man, right? And being in the dating scene and the obligation to like pay for the dates. It must be a really big financial burden. But then don't set up the date as if, you know, you are going to give her princess treatment and then decide later that that's not what you want anymore. Oh, I love this top comment. Sorry, you have the wrong number. New phone, who dis? Is entirely appropriate here.
New phone. Who dis?
And then people posting, no, I don't want no scrub memes in the comments. Nah, send a Googled wiener pic with wrong number, big dog. Literally. I like this one. Sorry if you're hurting for money, but I think you have the wrong number. Ooh, that's embarrassing.
This is so embarrassing.
You talk about it during the date if you want to split the tab or not. Only a complete moron would come begging several weeks later for a few tenors. Yeah, I agree. That's super weird, especially because like you wanted to see him again. You gave him your number. No. Block, not overreacting. I think this deserves a block, honestly. And yes, in case you're wondering, it is a red flag. Because what the hell are you talking about?
Too many red flags.
I like this comment. He sounds like a loser. I'd block the number and move on. Signed, a man. Thank you, sir, for chiming in. I think it's pretty unanimous in the comments. You're not overreacting and don't pay him. If you were in a better financial position, this is something that I would do. I would just say,
Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't realize you were having money problems. Here, let me pay for the whole thing.
just to be petty. But that doesn't really save anyone, right? Like, then I'm out money or whatever. But I like making them feel bad.
Loser! Loser!
Moving on. Am I overreacting? Girlfriend went out to lunch with a male coworker. So, my girlfriend texted me that she was going out to lunch with a group of friends to celebrate 2 interns finishing their internship this Friday. I said cool and have fun. They work in downtown Denver where there are hundreds of restaurants and bars to walk to from work, but they decided to go to a restaurant like 40 minutes away from work. So they drove to the restaurant. "30 minutes pass and I get a call from a friend and she says, hey, I just saw your girl eating lunch with some older guy." So it was just them. It wasn't the group. Yeah, they fully drove far away, hoping that they wouldn't run into anyone. There was less of a chance if they went to a restaurant far away that they would see anyone they knew. Yeah.
Infidelity?
I replied back and told her, oh yeah, she's out with some coworkers. Then my friend is like, no, it's just her and some guy. So I start to text my girlfriend asking her how was lunch going and who all went. She tells me, well, the 2 interns and like 4 other people. Lie. I was like, are you sure? And she said, yes, why? I tell her I just got a call from a friend and described her and her guy friend and that it's only them 2. She tries to backtrack and said, oh yeah, the other people ditched us.
That answer is incorrect.
I told her to stop lying. You and this older guy were the only ones going out to eat from the beginning and you made up a whole story as a cover-up. Then she tried to blame me and say she didn't believe that a friend of mine called me to let me know. But then how did you know that it's just the 2 of them? And that I was following her and I was a creeper and a liar. Playing the victim. I was like, please, you got caught and now you're trying to blame me for it. And no, I did not follow you, so stop with the lying. Yeah, it's playing the victim. It's gaslighting. Yeah. My specific question, I feel like my girl is either cheating on me or she was too scared to tell me she was going out to lunch with a male coworker. So if it was just chill, why did she feel the need to lie? If it was just a friendly lunch, why did she lie? Why did she go somewhere where no one would recognize her?
Well, you failed extremely well.
What do you think I should do? By the way, we've been together for 7 years and have a 4-year-old daughter. Why did she have to lie about it, then try to blame me for it? This shows all the signs of someone who's doing something they shouldn't be. And getting caught and getting defensive and gaslighting and playing the victim. If there's nothing going on, then why is she using manipulation tactics and why is she lying? So we do have an update. Thank you for all the support. It really helps reading all the feedback. So I can honestly say that when we first met, I wasn't ready for a relationship. I'd been single for 3 years and I was having fun, but on the other hand, my girlfriend had been single for over a month before we got together. In her own words, she felt in love with me the first time she saw me. The first years were very good. Even though I didn't want to be in a relationship, I still respected my girlfriend and treated her with respect. There were a few times that I wanted to end the relationship because my girlfriend was very insecure and jealous. I couldn't talk to any girls at work or anywhere because she would think that I was trying to cheat. I always talk about it on this channel with people that are worried about cheating. Either have a thing with cheating, someone cheated on them in the past and maybe they have trauma, or they're projecting and they're cheating themselves or thinking about cheating, or they have the capacity to cheat.
You dirty dog.
It's interesting that she would get mad at you for talking to girls at work when she is doing the exact thing that she would be upset about. I do have to admit that my girlfriend was the glue to our relationship because anytime I wanted to break up, she was stubborn and would not give up on us. She would do all kinds of nice things for me. She even bought a boxer puppy, which she found out was my favorite breed. Later on, I found out she bought a puppy so that we could stay together. Yeah, that kind of sounds like... You know when women like say that they're pregnant in order to keep a guy with, like to trap a guy, like baby trap? A dog is just another way of doing that. I never thought that my girlfriend would cheat on me or even think of doing something like that. She was so in love with me that I didn't even have to try. All 7 years together, I thought we were good until 2024. She just got promoted and was making more money than I was. Things started to change. She started drinking, which she never had a drink with me. She started smoking every single day. It didn't bother me since I would too do it once in a while, but then she would go out with one of her girlfriends that also smoke the devil's lettuce. They would go out every Friday from 8 p.m. to midnight smoking at the park. I felt like she was acting better than I was. Then she really didn't need me at all. She started going out with her friends, even though the first 6 years she would not go out a single time with her friends at all because she'd rather stay home. I also stayed home because I felt that she wouldn't go out with her friends, so I didn't think it was fair for me to do so. 2024, the beginning of January, is when she told me she wasn't happy in the relationship, but that she wanted to work things out.
We need to talk.
She wanted me to help more with our baby. Stop watching sports or TV and spend time with her and the baby. I thought I was doing enough, but I guess I was wrong. I cut the cable, I started hanging out with them more and taking out our daughter to the park. I cleaned the house while she cooked, I did our daughter's laundry. While I was doing all these new things and trying to make our relationship better, I found out she was texting a coworker every single day from Monday through Friday from 7:30 a.m. when she would start work to 3:30 p.m. when she would get off work.
Big red flag.
This started in the middle of January until April 2024. The only reason I found out about it in March 2024 was because we had an argument on March 23rd. Before the big argument on March 20th, I was helping her with a work project that she had to do a presentation on. I helped her a few times, and on the 20th of March, she asked me again to help her late at night, and I was like, no, I'm tired, I'm going to bed because we have practiced so many times and I believe you are ready for it. I saw her get upset and annoyed, so I decided to help her out, but she was still mad at me. Then on the next day, March 21st, she didn't communicate with me that she was going out with her friends and I had to watch our baby. I wasn't mad she was going out. I was more upset that she had not given me a heads up. Then on the 22nd of March, she decided last minute she was going to hang out with one of her friends and her kids. She asked me if I wanted to go out with them, but I said no, because it was only going to be her friend and 2 kids and her friend's mom and my girlfriend and our daughter. So I stayed home and chilled. I later found out she was mad because I didn't go with them. I told her the reason I didn't go was because I was going to be the only male and it would be best if it was just them. March 23rd, during the middle of the day, she started saying some things which I thought were very disrespectful to me. I called her out and she just blew up and told me she was done with our relationship. She was fed up with me not helping out, supporting her career, or not hanging out with her friends and not being the cuddling type. I was so upset, I even said, fine, we are done. We didn't talk or hang out the rest of the weekend. On Monday, I went to get our mail and I opened up our Verizon statement, and that is when I discovered she'd been texting a coworker for a few months. I told her she was having an emotional affair, but she denied it. It was someone in her team that was a little bit in a higher position than her. He lives out on the East Coast with his wife and 2 kids. I really wasn't worried about it because he lived out on the East Coast while we were in Denver, Colorado. But I was worried about how many times they were texting each other. It reminded me of when we first got together and we were texting each other every day like we were in high school all over again.
This isn't looking good.
I fail to understand why there could be any reason to text a coworker that often if it's not related to work. Even if it's related to work, it's just like, it's a bit much, you know? She kept telling me it wasn't an emotional affair and that all they talked about was work, his kids, and the things he would like to do after work and sports, which she never talked to me about. I told her I really didn't feel comfortable with the situation. I understood that they worked in the same team, that they would talk. I told her I was okay with it as long as they didn't talk about personal things. She promised she would stop talking to him or texting and that she would keep the conversation professional and just work related. 2 weeks had passed, and again, I discovered she'd been talking to him about personal things, and I was just like, I'm done. I have lost trust in you. She apologized once again and promised this would not happen again. Ever since I lost trust in her, I started to question her. Like, how come you don't text me back right away like you used to? Or how come you changed your work schedule? Or why does it take you longer to get to work when it usually would take anywhere from 30 to 45 minutes? She got fed up very quickly with me asking her those types of questions.
Suspicious.
So I promised that I would stop, and I did, but I still did not trust her 100%. She had always been good at communicating with me, like telling me when she was going to the gym to work out, or when she was going to go tanning, or tell me when she was about to leave work and head home. All of that stopped and there was no communication. I mean, I think there was communication, it just wasn't with you. It was hard for me at first, but I adjusted to the new changes. I stopped worrying about things and just went back to my old self where I didn't care what would happen in our relationship. I had faith in God. If this relationship was going to work, then it will, and if not, then God has other plans for me. Then in July, she and this other coworker who actually worked in the same building and the same floor as her started talking. She had told me about him, how he was a manager and that he was in the department where she wanted to make her next career move to. Okay. She also told me he was the only manager that would talk to everyone and respected everyone, that he didn't have a big ego just because he was an upper manager. So on July 18th, while she was at work and warming up her lunch, she bumped into the new guy, the manager. They somehow had a conversation about Amici's restaurant and that maybe they should go out to lunch there someday. So they made plan to go out to Amici's the following week, July 26th, but things didn't work out because my girlfriend's sister came to visit. So she took some time off and had to cancel her lunch with the manager. Then the following week, after she was back in the office, she and the manager set up a new date and it would be in August. She never communicated with me about going to lunch with this manager that worked on the same floor, but she did tell me about she and a few of her friends were going to meet up for dinner on August 2nd. So on August 6th, she calls me to let me know if it would be okay she went out to lunch during work with a few friends because there were 2 interns finishing their internships, so they were going to celebrate. Now you know what happened next.
What a journey we've had together.
It could be that there was nothing fishy going on, that she was purely trying to create a relationship that would eventually result in her getting the job that she wanted in the department that she wanted. It could be that she knows that you are, suspicious of her already. So maybe she felt the need to omit that because she would have been worried. But I still think that if you have a partner that's concerned about those things, that you genuinely should be communicating. I get a woman in the workforce wanting to make strides, needing to create relationships and, business lunches and stuff like that. You're totally entitled to do that, but I don't like the sneakiness. Ironic that they drove 40 minutes away to not get caught and your friend happened to see them. Yeah, that's what a lot of people are saying in the comments.
Great minds think alike.
The gaslighting was literally an admission of guilt, bro. The impulse psychological reaction that most habitual liars use is gaslighting. Even if the other party figures that they're being gaslit, the maneuver still provided the offender some time to plan ahead. I don't really think that people have a reason to gaslight unless they've been caught, unless they need to lie, unless they want to do Darvo, right? Little refresh, deny, attack, reverse victim, and offender. That's exactly what she did. If there was nothing going on, then why are we doing the Darvo? Why are we getting defensive, right?
Good point.
This is why sometimes it's actually so hard to call people out, because what if you find out that they're manipulative, right? What if you find out that the person that all you're trying to do is set a boundary with is manipulative, they're gaslighting you? Because I feel like that's something that guilty people do. If there's nothing going on, then why are we trying to be manipulative? I personally think you're not overreacting. That's just my 2 cents. Am I overreacting? I, 20 female, found a skirt behind my boyfriend's 26 male drawers. For some context, me and my boyfriend moved in together in a new flat in August. Today, when I was getting ready, I noticed a black skirt behind/under my drawers. Our wardrobes are built in and sometimes stuff gets stuck behind/under the bottom drawer. I've attached a picture to help show. They're a bit dusty and definitely not mine. Interesting. It could be old. It could be from an old girlfriend. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's a new fling, that he's cheating. But OP also shared, I'm confused how they're there because I've roughly checked behind my drawer and never found it. But I would just reach my hand behind the drawer and grab what I could instead of looking properly like I did this time. So I'm worried if a different girl left it there while I was away. The thing is, if my boyfriend did want to cheat, I don't know why he would do it here, since this is extremely obvious that this is a couple's flat and would be hard to hide all of my girly stuff. But I also know that a man used to live here. Strangely, one of my boyfriend's friends knew the past owner of this flat. But I think maybe a woman used to live here previously since we've gotten letters addressed to what I think is a woman's name. But it's a Chinese name, so I'm not 100% sure. I'm gonna see if I can find a letter with her name on it to check. The only other suspicious thing I found was what I'm 90% sure were different women's panties a few days after my mother-in-law stayed over. Gross! I showed my boyfriend, he said they were probably his mom's since she brought stuff from Primark and those pants were from Primark. But they were a size extra small, and I don't think that's his mom's size.
Body shaming.
He said they're probably from my friend who slept over for a few days, but I haven't asked her yet because I'm scared and embarrassed to ask if she left pants here because if they're not hers, then that's really suspicious. What should I do? I know if I ask him, he'll just say they must have been past owners, but I don't know. I feel extra anxious because I have roughly checked behind my drawers before and never found them, which is strange. Although this time I did check more thoroughly. So I get the concern. I will say, I think that this is old. At least the skirt is old. Okay. That looks like, and it's also dark, right? Back there, and the skirt is dark. Isn't it funny how when you have like a drawer like that, like a bottom drawer, if anything is just like a little bit too tall or like you push a bunch of things in, then other things kind of fall out behind? Unless this was like a dresser that you guys brought in, which doesn't sound like it's the case. I think it's entirely possible that that skirt might have been there the whole time. Let's see what everybody else had to say. If it is built-ins, is it possible they've been there for a while from previous people? I don't think they would be so dusty if it had been all recent. Yeah, it looks like it's been there a while. I had this thought. Built-ins have a funny way of trapping clothes and pumping it out if the right drawers are opened to shift them out. Yeah, this happens to me all the time. And with the squishy piece of clothing like that, when you close the drawer, like it's hard to tell that there's anything in there.
It's a prison.
I had a dresser, and when I moved, I took the drawers out of it for ease of transport. I found a bra that had gone missing several years prior, wedged under the bottom drawer. I had crammed the top drawer so full that one day when I shut it, it skimmed some of the items off and into the void. So it's entirely possible that someone did the same thing to this built-in unit, who knows how long ago. OP said, yeah, I'm starting to think they were previous tenants. Someone said Topshop closed a few years ago, which is the brand that they're from, and this skirt is probably from 2021. Okay, yeah. Topshop did close a long time ago. Someone could also have just kept an old skirt, but you know what I mean?
My older style.
I get the cause for concern. Just from the look of this skirt, I think that the skirt isn't something that you need to worry about. The underwear, potentially, but not the skirt. Someone also pointed out, even in the cheating scenario, why would she put her clothes in the drawer? I mean, unless she wanted the girlfriend to find it.
That's evil. That's only evil.
Yeah, that's a good point. She wouldn't. OP updated and said, thank you for all your help and sorry for the spelling mistakes. I'm feeling a lot less anxious now. I'm thinking that these are a super old skirt from a past tenant since they're from Topshop, which closed in 2021. Also, they wouldn't fit my boyfriend, so he's not cross-dressing. Okay. I would say for that one, the skirt, I think you might be overreacting. Just saying. Wow, that's a change.
Surprise, surprise.
Am I overreacting for breaking up with my girlfriend over a toilet plunger prank? Okay, so this just happened 2 hours ago and I'm still fuming. Apparently on TikTok, the toilet plunger prank has been trending. It's where you ask your partner to help with the clogged toilet and instead you actually put Nutella, water, and fart spray on a plunger and fling it on your partner.
Ew.
My girlfriend decided to do that prank on me, and normally I can take a joke. I don't think we can show the video just because I don't want to fucking deal with copyright claims. Okay. It's kind of like, have you seen that prank with like the kids where you like have Nutella on your hand and they come into the bathroom and you rub it on the kid? I personally find that hilarious. Pun not intended. But let's get back to the story. After she flung the toilet plunger contents on me, including in my mouth, I obviously died and went to hell, but she showed me the video where she was making, and I was like, okay, it's just a prank, fine, whatever. But then, wait. I asked her if she bought a new toilet plunger to do this prank or if she at least washed it. But no, she took the regular effing toilet plunger we had to do this prank. That is foul. Oh my God. Ew. If there's one thing that absolutely disgusts the shit out of me, it's like toilet brushes and toilet plungers. I don't know why I just fixate on this sometimes. It was like, you know, whatever. I took a shit and like I need to like wipe it down. And I just look at this toilet plunger and I'm like, oh, God, that's nasty. If someone touched me with it, there would be hell to pay.
Game over, man. Game over.
She told me she's so sorry and everything. She forgot to buy a new toilet plunger for the prank. How do you forget to buy a new toilet plunger for the prank? Like, it is like the most disgusting thing. And you wanted to touch someone with that?
I'm gonna be sick.
But WTF, that means I actually got feces in my mouth. Old feces. Ew. Oh my God. Ew, 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 ew. Okay. So I'm so unbelievably angry. I told her I'm done with her and now she's pissed at me. Am I overreacting? We live together, so it's not going to be easy to just break up. Plus telling all our friends and family we broke up because of a toilet plunger prank. Feels so childish, but I feel so disrespected. Are there like a couple of screws missing or like, she ain't the brightest crayon in the box, if you know what I'm saying, because that's hella dumb. No, I'm so like grossed out by this. Ew. If the victim doesn't laugh, it's bullying, not a prank. You could get so sick from that. If you got it like in your mouth, oh my God, no, no. Your girlfriend needs to grow the hell up. Enough with TikTok challenges, not overreacting. Yeah, I love all these memes. I am this Mona Lisa. This.
You are so beautiful.
Disgusting. No, you're not overreacting. That was all for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you like this video, you'll love this one on the screen right now.